Okay, so afternoon everyone. I'm Tin, a year three student in as an English major, and this is Amanda, a year four student also, well, majoring in English. So the two of us are going to share about how's life like as an English major, as well as more sort of like details and personal experience regarding the Oxford summer program that we both participating in. But for the sake of clarity, I'll be sharing my experience on the student life as an English major, while Amanda will be talking about the Oxford summer program. So about the student life as an English major, well, I guess I could start with like my freshman year when it was still like COVID was still going on, and I didn't quite join the orientation camp. So when school actually started, I was like feeling quite lost in it. So, but what brought me into sort of like the community of the English department is the e-news there on the left that I received in the email. So basically, some of our tutors were hosting a reading circle in which we just talk about poetry, short stories that we find interesting. And I ended up going there, and the atmosphere there was really enjoyable with like how free this discussion are and how we can just freely share what we think without like worrying about like participation grades and stuff, and that we can all suggest and choose some readings and poetries that we are interested in to discuss. And so later on in my freshman year, I ended up joining the college society for the department. And so like for a bit of a context, the English societies are to like host activities and events for English major to participate in and enjoy. And the societies is actually where my sort of like my social circle in the department starts, where I started meeting more and more fellow English majors and working together with them, forming like bonds in the process. And then it will be on the orientation camp, which to most English majors would be their official introduction to the people they would have lessons with in the department. And well, although like I didn't participate in it in my freshman year, but I later helped organize it along with other society members. And well, I would say like the effort that we spent on it to make it an enjoyable experience for like the newcomers to the department is very worth it. And it also helped further like solidify the friendship I have with the other English majors and the society members. And then, as what Professor Mansbridge has talked about, it's the Andrew Parkin Drama Club, and it's the competition that's held in like the second semester of the year of every school year, where English majors would form their own team and to compete with each other, often with scripts that each team come up with like themselves. And I ended up joining the competition with my group of friends, and we wrote a very, well, our script was quite absurd, but it's very comedic that sort of like highlights and, well, basically we were making fun of each other's personalities. And yeah, the event is really a highlight for my life as an English major, I guess, especially considering with how, well, my team, well, we won the best team. So yeah, it's a very memorable experience. But like, well, like, yeah, cliche as it does, but like, I think it's a very common saying that, oh, like in university, it's very hard for you to meet like true friends or like real friends, as like people, you may just share like lecture with people and like they'll be gone by the next semester. But well, I think like it's something in the English department that we're like, the English, like, is it like this? Yeah, well, the size of the English department is like at a just right level where you will be having lessons with, like, you're constantly meeting the other fellow English majors in your year. So, yeah, so like that's how I met my group of friends. Basically, we're able to like hang out with each other and like constantly attend lectures together, and then also have deep talks about life. So, yeah, it's personally like, yeah, I really meet a lot of very great friends during my 3 years in the English department. And then on to the actual part about what you're going to study as an English major. So obviously, like we'll be mostly working on like presentations and essays, but I think there's a very common sort of like conception that, oh, as an English major, especially if you're interested in literature, you have to read a lot of books and novels and readings for it to sort of like just like succeed in studying. But and like it may sound very daunting or like very troublesome, but well, personally, it's not quite the case. Being more of a literature person. So the photo on the top left is the my bookshelf in my dormitory, and well, to be honest, I only finished like 1/4 of the books I have there, and and regarding like the amount of readings you're going to have for like each course or each semester, it might not be as much as you might imagine. Because if you look at like the bottom left, there's 4 novels, and it's like what I'll be reading for this semester. So yeah, like it's not like you can like succeed in a literature course without reading anything, but like at least it's a very manageable reading. And also a bit about on what we study in literature. I would like to highlight on one of the courses I studied last year, which is a course on romanticism, where we studied romantic poetries. While the poetries, like they're certainly very quite difficult to understand, but like it was the sort of it was this course that of how like the ideas intertwined with the language that sort of like enlightened me in the way I learn literature, and also like how the romantic ideas of embracing one's spirituality while also having a great appreciation for nature is like these ideas are just like very fascinating to me. And at the photo at the top, I also like to highlight the drama and performance course that the professor just mentioned. I'm taking this semester, so I haven't got into any actual performance yet. So this is a photo from last year's drama and performance class. So it was like from what I saw them working on, it was a really interesting. It was a bit like the Andrew Parkin Drama Club, where you have to come up with your own script and then perform it publicly. So it was a really interesting experience to have, and a very, yeah, once again, a very memorable experience to treasure by working with your group mates and friends. And about the linguistics, yeah, I didn't really study much of the linguistics course over in the department, but I've done my fair share of it. And linguistics is basically, I guess you can understand it as a more scientific way to approach and understand English as a language itself and how it's being used in society. And what I want to highlight is like the one on the right. It's basically an essay I wrote in my freshman year. So it's my most memorable paper I wrote because it's an essay requiring to explicate how in a linguistic perspective of how like why jokes are funny because of the language it uses. And you're free to choose any sort of like TV shows or comedies that you find yourself like having a good laugh from. So yeah, that is what I did, and it was a very enjoyable essay that I did. And with the highlight of like the courses offered in the program and what we studied, and it's a must to mention the Oxford summer program that we participate in. So I'll pass the time to Amanda.
Okay, so thank you, Tin. So last summer we went on the Oxford summer program. It's basically a 2.5 week experience in which we lived in Oxford and had lessons with Oxford tutors regarding literature, linguistics, and current affairs in the UK. I would not even dream of the possibility of being at Oxford University if not for this course. The mode of education there is very refreshing and new to me because in Hong Kong we mostly have our lectures in classrooms or lecture halls, but during our time there we had our literature sections at St. Anne's College lawn. So we bathed in the sunlight and were surrounded by nature. The 2 novels that we read for the literature course were both based in Oxford. So we are basically experiencing the setting of the story while reading the novel. It was such a unique experience. Our literature tutor, the one in the red striped shirt, she was really sweet and brought us fresh strawberries and raspberries as treats during the class. So aside from having to attend classes, we have the weekday afternoons and the whole day during the weekends to explore Oxford or London. During one of the weekends, we got to His Majesty Theatre to watch the musical Phantom of the Opera, which was basically like sponsored by the department. I was so excited about the show because I'm a huge musical fan, and Phantom of the Opera has been my absolute favorite since I was small. So it felt really surreal to finally watch the stage production in real life, and the experience was even better than I could ever imagine. Like the costumes, the stage effects, the set, the props, they were so detailed and elaborate. The chandelier rising from the stage to the ceiling at the opening just gave me goosebumps, and now it lives rent free in my brain. And of course, I have to mention the museums there. These two are my favorite. The left one is the Victorian and Albert Museum in London, and the right one is the Ashmolean in Oxford. So allow me to digress a bit. Just look at the architecture. Like Oxford is filled with these types of like classical, ancient Greek or Gothic architecture, which I adore. So they are like literal eye candies to me when like I'm walking around the streets. So there are like cast courts, which hold like replicas of famous sculptures, natural history museums, and we also visited the National Portrait Gallery. And quoting Tin, he said it was like a fan meeting because we got to meet like portraits of famous historical figures like Handel, Newton, and Blake. And last but not least, for you literature lovers out there, the bench there is the J.R.R. Tolkien bench. And if you don't know who he was the writer of the series The Lord of the Rings. The Ornan hardcover books, they are so pretty. I would buy them all if I could. And this is the Norrington room at the bottom of the bottom picture there. At Blackwell's, like, look at all these books. Like, it's a heaven for book lovers. And there is also an Alice shop which sells all types of Alice in Wonderland merchandise. And I'm a huge fan of the novels, so I just wanted to share it. So thank you. Feel free to come to the booth outside to talk to us if you want to know more about the English department or the Oxford program. And that's it from us. Thank you.